This is Test Case Scenario with me, your host, Jason Baum. This podcast is the definitive hub for knowledge and stories in the software testing and development communities. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button and let's dive straight into the episode.
When you build automated testing, usually there is this big question about, do you design the automation in the same language as the application, or do you design it in the same language as the people who are going to be developing and implementing the tests are the best at?
Sometimes you want to have the integration tests at the higher level. Sometimes you want something in the middle. And sometimes you just want to use the language that the developers writing the code is familiar with. I would test on the language that is most popular in the platform, just because you're going to be able to get as much help from the community. You're not struggling with the language. Sometimes it's easy to learn a new language, but if you don't have to, that's also easy. It's easy not to have to pick up another language just for testing.
Each team is going to have a different manager, a different group of people collaborating on what things need to be tested and how. My wish is for practitioners and for testers to push back when things are asked for that is going to make things harder, not even just for you, but for your team and for whoever replaces you when you leave the company. What is it that's maintainable? Managers are often looking for coverage, and that's great, as long as you have the resources to maintain it. And I think a lot of people underestimate how many resources are needed to properly evaluate the results of the tests that you're running. The teams that I've seen with really well-run test suites where high confidence that things are passing are good, and if they're failing, it's bad. They don't have large test suites. They've got small, focused test suites that are focused on providing the most value with the resources that they have.
So something that we saw over COVID is a really good example is the Black Lives Matter movement, right? People started documenting things on their phones and they made social change because of it. A big threat to that is generative AI. It's so easy to claim now and say that that is not a real video of a police officer killing someone or whatever it might be. We work with a lot of people who build tools, the Guardian project. They also build Onion browser. They make this really cool tool called Proof Mode, where it's a camera that you can capture metadata. It even pings the cell towers around you to not just show GPS, but where you're located. And then they hash and they sign this media. So if people are capturing, or human rights activists are capturing something that somebody is doing that is bad, that is really prone to mis and disinformation, we're building tools that make it possible to say, no, we have cryptographic proof that this is what it says it is. And it's a lot harder to debunk and be a victim of mis and disinformation.
If you could compare, contrast the challenges of working on a platform on which other people are developing software in mass, as opposed to you developing your own application to do business for a single company. What's that transition been like?
The first shock was that everybody was going to be on the same version of the application. So that frightened me. And there are, downsides to that. The releases are major from the product, and they're going to go to more people. So they have to be, tested rigorously. The benefits of that, though, I can repeat myself again. They are tested rigorously by many people at once. So that if you're using the first name component, that is probably a component that's in hundreds of other applications. And if there were a bug, that is more likely to be logged because everybody is on the same version.
I saw a thing at AWS reInvent last year where they said that there's a good chance that a lot of user interfaces are going to go away and be replaced with chat, and basically saying, you might have a user interface, but it'll come from you saying, hey, give me a form I can fill out that lets me submit something, or rather than having a flight picker with a date picker and all that stuff, you just sort of say, book me a flight to this, give me some choices. So the UI will be generated dynamically depending on the prompt and the situation. Then the question becomes, how do you test that? And I feel like that is definitely a case where the human tester is going to be invaluable.
I think we'd have to borrow a lot of testing practices. I think we've said this before on the podcast, but borrowing a lot of testing practices from the gaming world, where things are kind of dynamically generated, and leaning into that to formulate our new testing practices going forward for these generative UIs, which is really cool.
it feels like we're going to need the help of some white hat hackers to get real creative and make sure that the stuff can't be stripped out easily, that kind of thing. I hope that kind of stuff is being done, because I feel like that was kind of where the first iteration of blockchain missed, is that it was so easy to fake stuff, even though it was supposedly unfakeable. And it's like, no, people fake stuff all the time. It's not anonymous, it's pseudonymous. I hope that we're thinking through those kinds of things and thinking like the bad guy to try to get ahead of what's obviously going to happen.
Thank you for joining us on Test Case Scenario. Share your thoughts in the comments. We'll make sure to respond to each and every single one. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell to keep in touch. If you missed our last episode, it's popping up on your screen right now. Go, click it. Until next time on Test Case Scenario.